Oh God, I mean, the options are endless. Unfortunately, sometimes it comes down to the simple thing of they'll have heard of a product, they type in Google, and then Amazon comes up top, they go to Amazon and buy it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that route. Whoever fights the hardest for the SEO. Word of mouth is a humongous thing when it comes to health and nutrition products. If somebody has had a good result, word of mouth always sells 10 times better than just like a cold approach, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. Social media, if they find a brand and they start following and they love what they're talking about, they love the transparency of it, they're hooked in. They'll buy straight from their site. Like you said, I mean, online, it's worldwide, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
So I think there's so many routes to how they find them. I think a lot of the time when they're looking for trusted products, they will, they'll look to, hopefully, to platforms like Thrive, instead of going in cold. But a lot of the time they've had knowledge, as a consumer, they've had knowledge or they've been told about something from somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. So thinking about that, like how do you and your team at Thrive, how do you stay kind of in touch and up to date with what's happening? Like both kind of what's happening with new products coming to market, but also what's happening with the kind of scientific evidence and kind of things changing there.
Yeah, that's easy. Both of those are easy for us. We've got a huge online presence, and our team are online all the time, especially on social media. So as for the brands that's coming to market, as soon as we see something that, and me myself actually, because I know the industry quite well now. Yeah. When I see a brand that kind of visually looks as if it fits this industry, which is quite broad, it's quite hard to describe really. So if I see a product come out and then I look at their site and I think, yeah, they've got a transparency thing nailed. Within 5 minutes through looking at their website and their story and who's behind the brand, I'm thinking, yeah, they're on it. They're on top of it. So we're very much in that arena all the time, all day. So we see these brands. We get a lot of referrals. If people will say, have a look, have you seen this brand that's launched? We'll dig into them a bit. We get approached mostly by email by numerous brands every day who want to work with us because they're seeing us as a platform, so they come to us as well. As for the nutritional and the ingredient side, that's where our split audience comes in, and our nutritionalists, our fitness trainers, and the people within our audience on that sector can then help us out with, is this product doing what it says it does, And we use a small kind of tester panel with some products as well, so we'll put them out to people and we'll get their feedback. So it's easy, if I'm honest, Rachel, for us on that, because we're immersed so heavily in it. Yeah, we see this day to day, and they're approaching us. So
yeah, because something I've been trying to get my head around is, especially within health and wellness, it feels like you say, it does feel messy, and it also feels like the scientific opinion or the scientific evidence seems to change fairly regularly. Yeah. So kind of, I'm really interested in how people stay up to date with that, and also how you, when something does change, how you let your readers know, that things have changed in a reassuring way.
Okay, as for changes, so fundamentally, nutrition and how your body deals with food and nutrition and nutrients never changes. So our nutritionalists are rock for that. A new fad might come out, like, for instance, the whole coconut oil fad. Our nutritionists in our audience know that a fad like that has always been dealt with the same with the body, and that's the beauty of it. The marketing might change, the body's processes never changed. Right. So we and they can recognise the marketing and the fads around certain things. Sorry, Rachel, what was the other half of the question?
The other half is trying to explain that to your readers. So when, trying to kind of introduce them to a new idea or kind of what feels like an important change in opinion.
Yeah.
In a trustworthy way.
Yeah, so definitely what we try and do from the start is break through the marketing hype. We'll try and, and we have in the past on our channel put out the benefits of coconut oil. We're not going to say, and the benefits of lower sugar products. We have put out articles covering that. What we will always try and do is bring it back to the nutrition and the facts behind it. So we'll say, yeah, this is great. If everyone's jumping on a coconut oil, fantastic. Recognise it's really high in fat. Recognise it's a better option than unsaturated oils, canola oil and things like that. So we'll kind of say, yeah, if you're all over this, carry on, use it, but this is what you need to understand of how it affects your body. And we'll try and present that in a non-scientific way. It's got the facts behind it, but it's not covered with the science jargon. I mean, when you say, things within even the scientific community change, it's a whole new ball game because brands are funding the research on a lot of that science anyway. So, it's a whole new area that becomes messy again.
How do you mean?
So, for instance, if a brand will fund a certain story, I mean, I'm not talking specifics here. I'm gonna put in my disclaimer here. It happens. So, a brand will be behind a certain research study into a product that will then be released to market, given the benefits of that product, whereas the brand is paying for that research.
Right.
So it's biased. It's biased. That's all. It's biased in the research. So. And that's a complicated system of, the funding of coming from the brand to the product, but consumers are getting savvy to that as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting, is it? Because you talked before about, brands bringing people on side by showing them the development and the testing before it's released and kind of keeping them up to date with that.
Yeah.
And in that conversation, that sounded really positive. And when you're talking about kind of brands funding research, that sounds, sounds like you think that's kind of biased and negative. So can you tell me more about the difference between those two activities?
So when I say that they're giving a bit of behind the scenes, they're showing their product to the potential marketplace.
Yeah.
In a transparent way. So they're saying, hey, look, I'm behind the brand. This is going through production just now. It is purely when it comes down to that visibility. And visibility and transparency instigates trust, without doubt. It's almost saying, we've not got anything to hide, This is our production line. We're not putting anything in this mix. This is what's gone in it. You can see by visual, which is creating that trust before the product comes to market.
Right.
The other side, which the science side has always, is fighting a big hang-up really, because that science side has always been the secretive kind of not published to the consumer marketplace side, is that funding side. And, it happens, it's happened, it's been proven. And also the other side of that is that research behind a product will be released from the scientific community that has only been tested on 50 people. You see a lot with skincare brands. They'll put out this product had 86% positive results, but it's only been tested on 50 people. That is not validation really. It's not a wide consumer audience. So that side of it, but I think consumers are becoming more and more savvy to that as well.
Yeah.
Change in area also.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's really, really good to think about. Sorry, this is changing the topic a little bit. I'm jumping backwards. There was one thing that you mentioned earlier. You talked about how important fun was to brands. And I'm wondering, can you talk a bit more about that? Because for me, that whole health and wellness space often feels very serious, and especially when you start explaining science to people. So I was wondering if you could give me any examples of